welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. Today is Wednesday, May the 6th, 2026. And Michael, are you on? Or do you need me to keep talking a bit?
Go for it, sweetie.
Okay. So I've got a book signing on May the 30th at Books A Million. So I'm excited about that. And getting another one planned for in the fall for another independent book club that's here in town. So it's moving on.
Medical Doctor Floyd's going to interview on his show with podcast.
Oh, yeah. We've got that next Thursday. So, and I've been doing some changes on the website. If you all find any links that are broken, please let me know and I'll fix them. Jamuna had found a whole page that the links were old, so I corrected that. And Michael's added a healing crisis page on the website, so you can go out and see that. And other than that,
Actually, Michael wouldn't have a clue how to add a page to the site.
well, yeah, but you wrote it up and then I put it on the website. So anyway, Lincoln is asleep, so it's quiet here for right now.
Hey, Jeanie,
Hey, Mitzi.
Do you have a university near you?
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, one of the things that generated a lot of local interest with the book I wrote was one of my clients was a professor at the university. If you have a shoe into the university, they did a book reading, like, and then they drew in the people. So, there was a large crowd of people, maybe 50 people who came. And then I just chose sections of the books to read out loud. And then there was a Q&A afterwards. But if you have a university, I think it would be a good step.
Oh, good idea.
Introduce people, yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, and the university age group and everything, they're facing a lot of those issues. Michael and I watched a documentary the other night on two girls that had experienced similar rape situations, and one of them committed suicide. The other one tried but wasn't successful. And both of those were in their early 20s. So it's definitely something that needs to be addressed so that they know that there is a way out. They don't have to be stuck with it.
Absolutely.
So, and I reached out to a lady. I thought of you. She lost her husband a couple years ago and lost her youngest child about a month ago. And so she was in some trauma, and I reached out to her, but she said, I think I'm just using busyness to keep from looking inside, because she had a lot of workers at her house and stuff like that. So anyway, I hope to be able to connect with her and offer her some support.
It's a common strategy to be so busy, just to get busy that you don't have to feel. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a good friend who's going on 5 years of that, and she's finally come to a screeching halt of realizing I can't do this, and this is what I've been doing. So, yeah.
Realization is the first good step.
Yeah.
And busyness is the most popular drug on the planet.
No kidding. I have just a few minutes. I'm going to have to leave early for a commitment that I have. But I do have a question about the forgiveness worksheet, if I could.
Please.
Okay. It's in 6C, the part that, or no, pardon me. Yeah, C, where we ask to be shown a time we have not fulfilled our goal. I'm wondering if you could just elaborate on that. It sometimes doesn't make sense to me when I'm the object of my own attention. So
yeah,
if you could speak on that.
several worksheets in the book, I use my carbon-based memory self as the object of attention. But, I found it's things like if I wanted somebody to honor me, when have I not honored myself? Or, if I wanted somebody to be respectful, has there ever been a time that I wasn't respectful?
That
Michael,
thought is based on the scriptural idea that was put out that beware you who judge another, for that in which you judge another, you have been guilty of practicing. And so oftentimes when I'm pointing my upset at someone else, I have a fear, a sadness, a guilt, a rage inside of me that I want to project, I want to put onto somebody else. And so the idea of that question is to bring people back to looking at, here's this goal that I hold so sacred that I'm willing to rage at someone or condemn someone or whatever because they won't fulfill that goal. And when I start looking at the fact that that's a goal that I have also failed to fulfill when I had an obligation to, or a situation where I could have. And so it's just another way of moving back to a deeper level inside. And of course, accompanying that moving inside with keeping that breath moving, paying attention to, especially where there's disturbance or upset, when I am willing to take another look, another level of looking at responsibility, then I allow my breath to move, the place where I'm holding the energy of avoidance, the energy of not dealing with it. It's like everybody loves to be responsible for their creation when it's going well. When life is flowing and relationships are harmonious, the body feels strong, success is evident, the responsibility, everybody will say, yeah, look at this, look how great this is. But then when it's not going so well, everybody suddenly knows whose fault it is. And of course, anyway, the person at fault is always them, right? And, it's kind of a reflex. It's a generational pattern. And that reflex toward blame isn't accidental. It's a deeply conditioned, literally multi-generational pattern designed to keep the true causes of our experience hidden from our awareness. And the idea here is just to take every opportunity possible to go into the next level of my own mind. Otherwise, the generational inclination to remain ignorant of cause is one of the biggest blocks there is to healing. So that's the idea of that step.
And maybe this is a silly question, but not that it's rhetorical, but we're not going to be like, 1993, or like I ask for a time when I have not fulfilled that. So essentially we can come up with a time in our mind, there's that, and just put a check mark there. We're not writing a date, and I mean, how important is it unless it trips us up and we have to do more forgiveness on it?
Yeah, if it really taps me into something that I've been hiding, then of course that's the next worksheet.
Yeah. Okay.
When I do worksheets, I always have a stack of at least a dozen. And what I've found, and one of the reasons why I encourage people to do the process in writing, is because if we don't do it in writing, it's easy to keep those thoughts that we've habitually dissociated from hidden. But when one's doing a written worksheet, it's harder to not pay attention when something subtle comes up. And so the idea is to take every subtle thought that's been hidden, become conscious of it. And so if I get down to that step and I go, oh yeah, I remember, and here I am puking all over Bill for what he did, and 38 years ago, I did exactly the same thing. Then what I'll do is I'll go to one of the blank worksheets and I'll go in and say, 38 years ago when happened. So I'll start that next worksheet that I've uncovered, a subtle thought that, maybe in the next 100 years I would never think of, except that the worksheet's encouraging me to. And then, I'll go back then and finish out the current worksheet. And now and what I've found over the years is that when I've got that stack of a dozen, most of the time I uncover 3 to 4 additional worksheets I need to do with each one that I do. That's been my experience.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's a bummer, isn't it? It's kind of like the good news and the bad news.
Yeah, it just keeps an ever going list of forgiveness. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and mute myself. I wanted to thank you and everybody and Jeanie for your book, the work that you're doing to support so many people. Thank you for that. And I have about 10 more minutes, and then I'm going to mute myself and listen, and then I've got to skedaddle. But thank you,
Awesome.
everybody. Yep.
All right. Blessings. Appreciate you.
Blessings to you.
How's everyone else doing? Anything exciting happening in your world?
I have a question,
Hey,
Michael.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I heard the male voice first, so
Rex,
Go
go
for it.
ahead.
Mitzi's phone's echoing. We're both our phones in the same room. It's regarding the question. Hi, everybody.
hey, welcome.
That Mitzi was just asking. It's very clear where it runs into a bit of a challenge for me, and I felt unclear with it, is when I'm using an example like I have been having pain in my back. Okay, I'll use that example. And there has been times when that, just a minute, please. So having the pain in my back, I do the worksheet on the pain, and the object of my attention is the pain and me, my body. So when I get down to says I ask to be shown when I have not fulfilled being free of pain. So how does it apply when you're doing something that's personal in that way? Maybe you could explain it and I'd have a better understanding of it.
My offering would be that, that question may not apply in 100% of situations.
Very good.
I'm looking at, if it does, here's the doorway for me to take a deeper look. If it's not something that applies, like, so I'm doing something on my big toe, and, when did I miss the goal that my big toe missed? It's not going to be applicable there. But
Right on.
But to use it where it is applicable is the idea. Yeah.
That's helpful, Michael. Thank you.
And talking about the busyness as a drug, the example that I always use is the workshops that we did up in Ionia, Michigan, and then you followed up, and the admission fee for people who were in the support group in this high security men's prison, their admission ticket to the intensive that you did there was 5 worksheets a day for the time period they were in the support group. And that these guys are in their cells 23 out of 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the universal excuse for why they didn't have 5 worksheets a day completed was what? We were too busy. And that's how deeply and over the years, I look at, we'll do, let's say we've done a 5-day series or a 6-day series of workshops on the road. And Sunday we'll do, the first workshop will be, why is this happening to me again? People get excited. So, boy, yeah, I'm going to, and I usually suggest people do 5 worksheets a day for the next 40 days. And along about Thursday night, I'll ask the question, how many did their 5 worksheets? If there've been 100 people in that workshop on Sunday, I'll be really delighted if 3 people put their hand up and say, I did 5 worksheets a day. 4, 3, 2, 1, and literally universally, people who were excited and made the commitment and said, yes, I'm going to do this. Why? What happened? Why didn't you get a? Oh, I was just too busy. And my take is that means my mind has put something in front of my healing. And it's not Dr. Feelgood to go in and look at what we need to look at. So it's definitely a challenge.
Well, and I so appreciate it. That's a good reminder. I noticed something else that I wanted to offer. I know someone else wanted to offer something or ask, but it was regarding the repetition timing wise. So I pulled out an old journal I haven't looked at for 5 years, and I
Right?
opened it up, and lo and behold, it was like SSDD.
Really? There's a book about that, you know.
There's a
I
habit.
think it's called something like "Why Am I Doing This to Myself Again?" or something like that.
How would I get good to read? No, I'm just joking. But yes, so I looked at. I'm coming up on my birthday, and I've noticed in 21 similar words and similar feelings and similar patterning that I was working with then. And one of the things that comes up for me at times is, wow, that is showing up again, and then it'll feel, and I'll think that, boy, I haven't really done much on this if it's the same thing again. I wonder if you would speak to that a little bit more, Michael, because
Sure.
it's not the same thing. It is a pattern, but yes, I would like you to speak about that if you could, please.
Yeah, my take is that you have perhaps done a monumental amount of work around that issue. But remember that remember we're talking yesterday about Haring's law of cure, and that symptoms happen in reverse order of the way that the symptoms occurred from the head down, from the inside out, reverse order. But there's a piece that Haring missed in that, and that was ameliorated by the fact that I can't bring forward something that I don't have the vitality to handle.
Yeah.
And so if I've got a level 7 toxin, I'm at a level 5 vitality, example I usually like to use, I can want to be finished with that level 7 issue till the cows come home. I can say, I want to get rid of it. Ruka, help me with this. I want to do, but until I'm willing to do what it takes to get to level 8 vitality, that's just not going to break loose. And then when you realize, you look at another scriptural idea where they're talking about generational patterns and the sins, and again, for those who maybe aren't familiar with the Aramaic idea of sin, simply means the energies held that are off the mark. The sins of the fathers are passed into 3 and 4 generations, and then the key, the really big piece of that particular quote says, and this is the Creator talking to us, says, "Yea, of those who hate me," and hate, Aramaic language, or the Aramaic word there is not hate as in a love-hate relationship, but those who are separated from me. And the way that most people separate from the presence of the love of the Creator is by holding their breath. So when one holds the breath, they get stuck in a pattern. And when you stop and think, probably if we surveyed virtually everybody on the call right now, we'd find that each person that's here is probably the first one in their family system who's ever entered into even thinking in terms of actually being responsible for the output of one's own mind, being responsible for the repeated patterns. And when you realize that, if you go back, 4 generations, that's, including yourself, that's 31 lives. When you stop and think, like, who told us that when we started to be able to understand and people were able to speak to us, by the way, all of the aberrant, insane behaviors and unresolved issues of your mother and father and your grandmother and your grandfather and their mothers and fathers and their mothers and fathers before them are energetically in you. Did anybody ever tell us that? Now, that's the pattern reinforced from 31 lives. And then, of course, if you do the math, if you go back 30 generations, that number becomes 1.6 billion people. How long have these patterns been going on? In most people's bloodlines, forever. And so to realize, if in 30 generations or 1.6 billion people, and this pattern I can trace back, and I can remember watching my dad do it or my mom do it, and I can remember watching my uncle do it, and I can remember watching my grandfather. wow, if it's been going on for 30 generations, how much pain, how much trauma, how much energetic buildup is there that's going to have to be discharged? I had a similar situation. It was back just a few months ago. I was doing a still point session, and I had an issue come up that I'd done a pretty significant amount of work on over the years, over decades. And I was in the middle of breathing, and the whole big thing came up again. And I was like, almost gritting my teeth in frustration. It's like, what the hell? Why? When is this ever going to stop? How long is this going to take? And on the next breath, what I got back was literally a verbal reply. And the reply was, Michael, how long have you been away? Like, how long have we been doing this stuff? When you look at the generations, and, if we look at the people who track things like war and violence on the planet, even with all the crazy stuff going on right now, this is one of the most peaceful times in world history. So when you recognize that and what needs to be dealt with, I mean, one of the ways this was impressed on me back a few years ago, Jean, we're watching a series on historical figures, and one of the scenes was from the History Channel, was a story of Napoleon Bonaparte, and in particular, Bonaparte and the Russian Tsar had been in concert with each other, and they wanted to bring England down to their knees. And so they made an agreement that they would stop trading with England to bring England to her knees. And Bonaparte finds out that behind his back, the Tsar has started trading with England again. So Bonaparte loads up literally, and it's heading into the winter. I forget what month it was September, October. Bonaparte in France put 250,000 men on horses, an army, and he's going to go and destroy the Tsar of Russia. When that so-called, we have a kind word for, we call it campaign. When that campaign was over, when the men who had been marched off to that war finally got back to France, there were 25,000 of them left. The rest had either been killed in war, had starved to death, or frozen to death. They were in winter. So just think about that one event in history. 225,000 men, their mothers and fathers, their wives, their children, all suffered from that. Think about the extended suffering of just that one stupid ass thing that Napoleon Bonaparte decided to do, and what impact it had on anybody who's got French in their genetics. I mean, stop and think about that. And if that's ever going to be cleaned out of the energy field of a person who's linked into the genetics of the French community, that's going to have to be faced and processed out. And that's just like one thing. There's a group up in Canada that did some research on war, and they estimated that from the beginning of recorded history, the best they could tell, that human beings had killed approximately 6 billion of their fellow human beings in war since the beginning of recorded history. Who's had the tools to face the pain, the trauma, the insanity of that in history? Who even had a clue? Well, in Aramaic, they said, yeah, the sins of the fathers is going to be passed on. It's going to roll on until we do what? Until we stop holding our breath in the presence of surfacing trauma or pain, choose to consciously, purposely step into, and actually I just this morning in my still point practice, I was guided to we've been talking about the three different levels of breath, and in the Aramaic language, there's one level. You haven't been on the show recently. I've talked about this, but just to share it, one level of breath is the ordinary breath that everybody takes. The dog breathes, the cat breathes, the chicken breathes, you and I breathe. And then there's another level of breath where people are in an incoherent state, some form of hostility or fear, and it reinforces the trauma-based experiences in their lives. And then the third level is what the Aramaic refers to as the set-apart breath, or rukutukucha, that quality of breath that was designed by the Creator for humans. And the instructions I got this morning were to start to call that the Rahman breath, tying the two together, that Rahman is the first law. So when I consciously, purposely set love in my mind, and I breathe consciously, purposely in that, I've reconnected with the Creator. Otherwise, the sins of the fathers, that's the only advisor we've got if we're separated, if we're cut off from our direct connection to the Creator. So reestablishing that, acquiring new habits, it's a pretty significant piece of work, as you've noticed, as I've noticed, as anyone who embarks on this work notices. It's not an easy, oh well, I'm just going to change everything. It's serious work. And you go back to that passage where Yeshua told one particular group of disciples what they needed to do, and the response was, too hard a saying, who can hear it? And they left. They literally left when they were told, you're going to have to go to that level.
Very helpful.
Yeah, it's got to come up. Got to come up.
Perspective. I while you were sharing that, a few things triggered and resonated and breathed. And what I wanted to comment about was, thank you first and foremost. That was very helpful. But deep sadness, while you're describing, as a human race, what we've done to each other.
Yeah.
But the sadness was also linked in with the idea that because and this is the verbiage, that because I have been unable to clear this with the effort that I put into it and the consciousness that I put into it and the intention and the love, then I'm not good enough and I don't do good enough, and that I don't do it good enough, or I don't do good enough is what kind of the words were.
The old power person dynamic.
Yeah, it wraps back around again. And then that pattern of blaming and judging, it inhibits the depth through which I go to clear it through the generations, is what I was getting while you were talking.
Maybe, when you say that, maybe what I'll do is I'll change the title of my book, and maybe I'll make it, Why Do I Have to Do This Damn Worksheet Again? Because, when you realize the layers of these patterns, that's it exactly. Like, shouldn't I be finished? And it was actually, I went from being that experience I shared with you a few minutes ago, where I'm breathing away and this old issue comes up again. And it's like, what is it going to be? How long is this going to take? And it was, I'm in a still point breathing, but I broke into laughter when the voice came back and said, how long have you been away? It's like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. I'd rather not think about that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, very helpful.
How long have you been away? That's the level of commitment it's going to take. And when you realize that the clarity of the tools is coming into common availability, I think we have the best shot in history of actually hitting critical little leavening that leavens the whole of it, that enough human beings cross the line, breathe, stay connected to love, and actually presence love in the world, that we create a strong enough field that every suffering, pained, abused, vicious, violent mind is touched, and being starts to show up on another level. To me, that's the hope of it all.
Right on. I join with that.
Thank you.
Michael. Thank you, everybody.
Hey,
And
honored.
there was another person that was starting to speak. I'd love to hear what she has to say as well. I'm going to go on mute. Thanks again.
Okay, cool. I think I heard Bridget's voice coming there. Young lady, welcome back. How are you? I tried to reach you yesterday when you sent me that message, but I did not get any answer. Did you get my text? Oh, you unmuted, Bridget, but then you disappeared again. You muted again. You're going to have to hit that mute button once more.
Can you hear me now?
There you. Oh, well, you came in there, and I can see you, and I can hear you. Yes.
Am I here?
Yeah, you're here. Welcome. Glad you're here.
Hi. So, oh my gosh, I'm really enjoying listening and I'm taking notes, because I'm gonna actually sit outside because it's really nice outside. I should
Beautiful.
give you my real background. None. Okay, here we are. It's sunny outside. It's pretty.
Nice. Gorgeous.
Yeah, it really is. So I have been I have surfaced from the depths of a really intense. I mean, I'm still in it, like the information's there to heal. Okay, so I just skipped over the reel of a healing crisis, of what we call a healing crisis. And it was so intense, you guys. I'm telling you, like, I have never felt, oh my god, this intense in healing, and like the flood of memories of all the trauma. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Because like um I
Breathing with
seriously
you.
right, uh I find that as we were talking about still point to breathe through the mouth, it instantly connects me to life source, as opposed to breathing through my nose is like this controlled the breathing through my nose is reminds me of control, when I'm breathing through my
Most
mouth.
people control by locking their jaws. It's interesting that that passage in the scriptures that talks about turning the other cheek. That's a mistranslation of that word cheek. It was really the jaw. And it was
Yeah.
talking about unlocking your jaw, because that is a way most people control, or at least attempt to control and keep their pain hidden, is by locking
Oh,
the jaw.
I totally, for me, that's true for me. And I inherited that from my father.
Who
I
inherited it
lock my
from
jaw
his.
so hard. It's like almost as I would compare it to like a pit bull grip, like that strong and that intense. And um
So are you willing to start
so
letting go of that?
absolutely. So like something just okay. I was so just I was wanting to give up on everything here, like taking care of my mom, taking care of this Cuban, because I can't take care of myself. I was going to go get Matthew and ask you if we could go to Heartland and camp out on the property and like permit out and do some healing together. And so, but then my higher self is like, this is the time, this is the moment. And I've been preaching. It's time for me to practice what I preach. So,
It's a good reminder for yourself.
absolutely.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. So, and thank you, team, all of you, the team of light workers listening. Thank you for your presence and your
It's
pillars of light.
amazing. Yeah, it's amazing how many people will talk about, and there's great talk about how they're going to treat people lovingly, gently, and with respect, and they're going to be responsible, and blah 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 blah. And but when the stress is up and the chips are down, it goes out the window, and the blame
Oh yeah,
game it runs the world, and
oh
taking
yeah.
that
How do you
back
say it? I was
actually.
telling. Go ahead.
just actually being responsible for one's pain rather than when going into pain, flipping into a conversation about somebody else. I don't have trauma going on in my physiology unless I have trauma in my physiology that needs to be healed. But if trauma is moving in my physiology and I go into a conversation about you, I just stepped into the whole cycle of denial, dissociation, locked away the source of my trauma out of awareness, and now I got a whole story about you. And of course, my story about you will always, or most often, include how I need to leave you because you're the problem in my life.
Right,
As
exactly.
opposed to, gee, I have this terrible pain going on inside my physiology. Maybe because, really, maybe because there's something in me I need to deal with and I need to stop talking about everybody else. Yeah, but that's not a very common characteristic of non-humans in this culture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I've been preaching to my mother that, we have to do this. We have to break the chain of the generations. Like before I even tapped in with you this time, it's like something I know inherently in my cellular memory as a wise, big ancient priestess, that's here walking right now to take care of the generations of shit that we've gone through, of the pain and the trauma and everything. And I know that that's my responsibility, Michael. And
Yeah,
so
you got it.
I've been speaking to my mother on this, and like, Mom, I don't want to come back again with you and do it again. Like, we got to do it now. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
I hear you.
And so as I'm doing this work, as I'm doing my work in sobriety, it's not sobriety, it's not abstinence from a mind altering substance for me. It's abstinence. The sobriety for me is walking and being the enlightened being that we are, that I am. And so, attending a program like AA is just reinforcing like that we used things to stuff the pain and to numb ourselves from the hurt that, of and I am an empath and a healer. I can feel the pain of the world. Like right now, just talking about it. And I really don't often give voice to it because that opens for me that energy, and it's very intense, so I have to spin my merkaba and understand that it's there and that my healing helps heal it. And I'm seeing, so back to what I was saying, I'm with my healing, Michael, I see my mom healing too, and it's so beautiful, like that intense time that I was like feeling sick, and I was feeling, oh my God, oh my gosh, the flood of memories of trauma. And like, and then I had to say to myself, well, she didn't know any better. My dad didn't know any better. They didn't understand, you know, it's my responsibility to work through the pain for all of us and to forgive and to just be a beautiful light in the face of darkness for another who is my bloodline. It's so intense.
Breathing with you. Just let everything soften. Just take a minute. Now notice you're pursing your lips as you breathe out. Pursing your lips is a way of holding on. That's the beginning of the jaw lock. So as you breathe out, I'm going to invite you to just soften your lips and breathe out through a soft, open jaw, a soft, open throat, and soft, open lips. So the sound is like, it's just the energy is in the in breath, and then just let the out breath fall out. And I'd offer that something to be careful of in the culture is this idea of an empath. An empath says, oh, I feel everybody else's pain. And that's one of the biggest lies anybody has ever told. It's one of the biggest lies in the culture. There's
Really?
actually a story. Yeah, there's a story I like to tell that it's actually one of my Jeanie's favorite stories that I tell, cough, cough. And it's a story about the little lady who's into movies. And she hears
Yeah.
about this new movie coming to town, and she just raring to see this movie. She leaves early because she's a little hard of hearing. She doesn't see very well. She likes to sit in the front row. Well, it ends up that there's this big traffic snarl up, and she gets to the theater late. And she gets into the theater. It's jam packed. She gets the last seat in the very back row of the theater. And there's this young couple in front of her, and this couple, they're just laughing hysterically throughout this film, and this lady really wants to hear it and see it, and so finally, in her frustration, she reaches over the seat and she jabs this girl in the shoulder. She says, "Young lady, are you feeling hysterical?" And the girl shudders for a minute. She isn't sure what to say, and finally she turns around and says, well, he was feeling mine first. You can't feel anybody else's if you're feeling it. Now, an empath, my offering would be an empath is someone who, I have a bag of garbage, you have a bag of garbage, your garbage is moving, my garbage moves, and now I feel my garbage and I own it. That's an empath. But for me to say I'm feeling yours is just a fraud.
So are you what you're saying, like that I'm feeling it someone else is like oh my gosh, Michael, we'll just have to have this conversation in depth another time because I would like to have this conversation, but I don't think it I don't want to go there right now.
Okay, that's cool.
I mean,
Good choice.
I believe I am open to hearing all of that, which we can have a discussion. It reminds me of the first time that we met, and we're down in Heartland, and I'm all, my Irish, stubborn self, and I'm gonna do it my way. And you're
No,
inviting me. You're
I
like,
never
no, you
noticed
can't
that.
leave. You can't leave. You have to deal with all of your stuff now, Bridget. And I'm like, but I want to go leave and be alone. And I don't want to be around Scott and Matt right now. I know. Oh my God. Just good times. Good times.
Opportunities to learn forgiveness.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so
So,
joining with you in being with your mom with the soft jaw, really letting the jaw, not turning the other cheek, but when something comes up that you want to say that is not acceptable, that maybe you've been punished for, maybe you've been put down for, maybe you've been given power person messages that aren't very nice for having said or done those things. I'm going to invite you to just be with your mom, and instead of having to say anything, just let everything soften and let yourself breathe. And when you can take that breath, that conscious, connected Rachma breath, at depth into your physiology, then that's what's going to dissolve that old trauma. You don't have to say a word to mom about it. There might be occasions where it's appropriate to say something to someone about it, but when you recognize that mom, at the age she's at and is still a practicing alcoholic, it's probably not going to get very far to say it. But if you can maintain an open jaw as though you were saying it, and just bring the intelligence of the breath into your physiology, then those things are going to dissolve.
right. Yeah, it is right now. My whole my crown chakra is open. My body's vibrating as breathing through the wisdom you're sharing with me. And it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. Godspeed for sure for me. Once I set the intention to heal and to join with you in my healing, it's there's no going back. We're going into the deep waters now. We're deep divers, yeah.
Yes.
So
Well,
and I
and we
love
had,
it.
yeah, well, we had started out with, before you went into this healing crisis, we had started out with a conversation about stepping into the power person worksheet. So maybe that's the next place for us to go. And I would like to, we've had enough conversation about it that tomorrow maybe we open the show with that and start into that power person worksheet. And I suspect that once we start on it, we may well spend a month on it.
Right on.
you know, and if we spend a month on the radio show on it, that will be perfect, and for everybody's sake and everybody's participation.
Yeah, I got it printed out finally. So
Awesome.
I made two copies. I'm gonna keep one as a master,
Perfect.
and I'll just be going back to make more copies, as needed. Because you're saying you do how many? Like five a week?
Well, the why is this happening to me again? Reality management worksheet is one that when people first do that why is this happening to me again workshop, I usually suggest they do 5 of those a day for the first 40 days.
Five of the
And
why is
then,
this happening? Of
yeah,
the why
and
is this happening
that's a
again?
one-page worksheet.
And I can access that. How do I access that?
Sure. Well, you can download it from the website if you just go to whyagain.org.
Yeah, right,
And in the upper left-hand corner, there's a button that says Start Here,
right.
and that'll take you into the worksheet. Or you can go to your app store on your phone and type in Heartland,
Right,
Heartland, one word, Aramaic
right,
forgiveness, and you
right.
can download the app, and there it is right there. You can do the worksheet on your phone. The app,
Oh yeah,
when
no,
we
I like
designed it,
writing.
yeah, well, either way, but you can, it's totally and completely private. And so either way, that's where that is. And so when we developed the Power Person worksheet, for a quarter of a century teaching that workshop, it was on one-page worksheet. And it's relatively recent that it grew to where it's now actually, I've done some editing since we started talking about it last week, and it's up to another page. So it's now 20 pages, not significant changes, but I'm doing some tweaks on it. And so we may well spend a month on it. And if we do, that'll be awesome.
Right on. Jeannie just put something in the chat. Is that what we're talking about?
If you go to that link, there's several wake up sheets, different versions. And so if you go to that link, you can download the 7-step, the latest version, the abbreviated version, the long form. There's several of them. So you can pick 1 or 2 or 3 or.
Right on. That's the one you say do 5 a day? Or
Yes.
5 a week? Okay.
Okay.
The link that
Yeah.
she sent me. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
And the feedback that I've gotten from people over the years who make a commitment and they really go in and do it, they also, and the reason why we leave different versions of the worksheet on the website is that the mind can kind of adapt to one format and start to block. And so what people often do is they'll switch up worksheets, every few weeks just to keep the mind from starting to play the avoidance game with it. So there are several different, the latest worksheet that's on the website, I have no idea what the number actually is, but there are times over the years in developing that worksheet, and I started to develop it about 45 or 46 years ago. There have been days where I've made major changes to that worksheet 3 times in a day. And the version that's on the website is probably, I haven't numbered it from the beginning, but it's well over 3,000 different versions. And what I did is I would tweak each word. Each word that's there is there for a reason. So
I think I remember you altering the why or the my commitment. Did you alter my commitment?
my commitment, basically what I've done, I mean, I've done that with every tool, is
I love
as
my
I learn
commitment.
something new, it's put in.
Right.
And as recently as maybe 7-8 months ago, I put another whole section in the commitment.
Oh,
And
cool.
so, yep.
And I'll download the app. Matthew read it to me. It was a couple months ago. It was so beautiful. It just, brings and he speaks your language. I just want to let you know, Michael, like he so much is walking in the shoes that you helped um that you created in him, the wisdom, the inherent wisdom within that you helped him see, and he
I think
walks
he
it.
was 9 the first summer that he traveled with me, and he did the Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop several times that summer at the age of 9. So yeah, he's definitely been around it for a while.
Right
And
on.
Susan Floyd's got her hand up. Let's check in and see what Susan's got to
Okay.
share.
Thank you. God bless
Well,
everyone.
stay with us. She may have
Okay.
maybe
Yeah, no,
something she
I'm
wants
not
to share
going
with you.
anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah,
going
actually,
anywhere.
it is for Bridget. So interesting. So
You've gone
Wait.
silent, Susan. Your
Yeah,
mute button was
I
hit.
can't hear
thank
you.
you. That we have, we have energetic sensitivity, and we can perceive what's happening in our environment. Now, the story we make about it, that's where it gets a little interesting. And as Eckhart Tolle says, and I believe this to be true in my experience, when you take care of the inner world, the outer world takes care of itself.
Oh, yeah.
And right, and when we make it about others, so in your case your mom saying, all we have to do is do our own cleanup. And I live by 3 edicts in my world. One, if it's happening to me, I created it, and it's in my physiology now, and if it's coming up for cleanup, it's for me to do, and there's nobody out there but my reflection. And if I take anything personal, even energy, it belongs to me. And it's the opportunity for me to go into the depth of cleanup and be with myself and meet myself at my own sensitivity. And I can tell you, in my own childhood, I wasn't met at my fullness, number one. I wasn't met to really be known, and I had a subtle awareness that perceived things very, very deeply. But the environment I was in didn't have the capacity to hold me there. So then I turned around to survive. I made about other, and I fawned other, and I merged with other and identified with other and said, if I take care of you, then you will take care of me. And that's a pattern integration. That's a pattern that I was developed on. I was marinated in this energy, and now it's the unraveling of that, and every moment is just to come within. And if I'm even if I'm perceiving that I'm taking on the energy of the world,
Right.
it's just an opportunity to go into the depth of meeting myself at my own presence and what's up for me, and whether it's if sadness arises, like Michael says, it's if it's out there, and we're having a charge on it's in here. And the journey is to hold ourselves, and really, and I know, just in your shares, Bridget, I know
Yes.
the depth of your sensitivity, because I am that. And so I can see, and especially when we've had trauma, the depth of trauma, that,
Mhm.
and our tendency is to merge with other and identify with other. And the
Yeah.
journey, what I've had to learn is, how do I hold on to self without losing connection to other? But to orient to myself immediately. Anytime there's someone new comes into my world, my tendency is to go and merge with them and identify with them, because I'm so sensitive. But now I orient with myself, and then I attune to other, but I still hold on to myself. And then also, how do I hold onto other in the connection without losing myself? So it's a dance
Right.
we have to have, because we're individuated beings, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yes, and that
yeah,
part that you were that you said, taking care of other people, and then that's what we did. I did the
yeah,
same thing
yeah,
my whole life, from a young child.
yeah,
And so I'm 54 now, and this is the first time in my life
yeah.
where I'm, dedicating time. The other day I couldn't join you guys because I just was I was in darkness within myself. I just slept. I had myself in my cave, and I was in my cave. I couldn't process. It was so intense. I just put myself to sleep. And uh, but then and so then I processed through it, and here I am, and I am taking the time now to take care of myself,
Yeah, and a lot of
and
Good
times,
for you.
yeah, and a lot of times,
yeah, it's nice.
because we didn't have people to lean into. So I follow a developmental psychologist by the name of Dr. Gordon Neufeld, who's amazing, and he talks about alpha. And alpha not in dominance with parent and child. What alpha is that the child gets to rest, knowing they can have trust that they get to lean in independence. Okay, we didn't have that. Most of us were parentified. Like I was parentified. I was taking on I took on the emotional sensitivity of my mother more like a parent would or in a relationship. So there's another really good book.
Me too.
Another really good book called Fawning by Dr. Ingrid Clayton. It just
hang
came out
on,
in
honey.
September, and that
Oh, wait,
talks
wait, let me, what is it called again?
Fawning, Fawning, Fawning by Dr. Ingrid Clayton. And she lived it, and she did an amazing job of bringing the true definition of fawning. What we've been taught fawning is, pardon me?
What is her name again?
Dr. Ingrid Clayton, Clayton.
Okay.
And it'll give you intellectual framework for what actually happened to you energetically, and then learning how to uncouple from that pattern.
Right.
And,
so, well, I mean, the process that I have become aware of quite some time ago is like maybe I'm going to say 15 years ago was internal family systems. I really can resonate with that.
Yeah.
And so in this time where I'm finally taking care of myself, I realize, like I'm able to be the adult to my wounded inner child, you know what I mean? And then not, but then even going beyond that, I'm trying not to get stuck on the human condition and words and box, if you will, and to be stuck on, repeat, so I am aware of it. And then with my awareness, I can take care. I can take care. It's to taking care of me, and to put my firefighter, say, hey, there's no fire here, so you don't need to step in and create one so that you can exist. You know what I mean? Like it's the process is really amazing. I really appreciate what you shared and identifying in the beginning that you and I share a very similar walk.
Yeah, it is. And anyone that's had trauma, and the one thing I've had to uncouple from, I'm not responsible for anyone. I'll just give you an example how over responsibility works. When I went to Michael's first workshop there, the 9 days, I'm sitting there, and of course desserts are made for everybody, and there's only one dessert, and I'm watching someone took a second dessert. And Michael is a slow eater, not slow eater. He takes his time to process his food, and I knew he was going to go without a dessert. And I was consumed by that he was going to go without. But this, and then
the caretaker
for that, and even it came up in Cami. Also with Cami, there was an experience that I didn't think she didn't get. I perceived she didn't get an opportunity to speak, and I was consumed by that. So what I'm learning now, I am not responsible for anybody else's feelings, and I'm not responsible for anyone else's behaviors or their emotions. But I am responsible for my own.
Right.
And so with your mother, I can feel it energetically, and I understand it because that is a product of fawning. Because, and this was wired into our little person selves, that we learn to perceive and care for others in hopes to get our own needs met. And I love that you said you're finding the place now where you are resting in your own self, and you're collecting yourself first before you start even considering other. That's the key. And even the fact that you went and rested, that your body was processing through sleep, that's beautiful. And the only other thing I would offer there, when we we're not able to rest into other and alpha, we don't even know it's an opportunity to rely, like this group here, sitting in the container here and processing with this group, all these beautiful beings that would hold the container for you, so you get to rest independence into us while you're doing your process, and we get to deny that you have to do it on your own now. You get to rest into this community and be held and loved independence, especially with Michael and Jeanie, these two beautiful divine masculine and feminine, and then also the rest of us that hold the light. And you're safe here. And we want to, that you get to really rest independence while we help you process.
I love you.
Joining you in holding the light.
Yeah. For all of us, I would say that everybody on the call here, this, and it's not, if we haven't had it, that's not our first place to go. My first place to go is to go figure it out on my own or do it on my own. And we don't, that we get to deny that now. We get to rest into the truth that this community, we're being held in the depth of love. That's where the transformation happens.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. I just wanted to share all that. That felt important for you, Bridget.
I want to add one
Absolutely.
refinement.
Sure.
Oh, go ahead, Bridget.
I'm just so in love right now. Um, I was up until 2 o'clock in the morning last night at my mom's house, cooking and taking, made her favorite guacamole and catering to her, and just really letting her know that she is loved and accepted, because she never was by her mom. And it felt really amazing. And like, I'm just so in love. I'm so in love with this moment with all of you. It is just such a beautiful, these are tears of joy. Like, I feel so grateful. I'm so grateful. Thank
Good.
you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And
Joining you
I
with
look
that.
forward to you giving that equal amount of love that you give to your mom that you are, that you hold
Yeah.
that equally for self.
Yeah, I
Equally.
am.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's finally getting it, like, oh my gosh, I feel so blessed, you guys. And you're all so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Smoke and mirrors.
Woo.
And Michael, you
So
I
wanted
wanna
to add
just
just-
something?
slight,
Your
slight
refinement?
refinement, Susan, when you talked about, not responsible for how anybody else feels. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then when you followed that up with I'm responsible for what I feel or my behavior.
Yeah.
And my offering is that's not always true. I can accept responsibility and therefore
Mhm.
change it. But a lot of those behaviors, emotions, feelings, thoughts didn't start with me, at least not in this time frame. They may well be genetic inherited dynamics that I'm really not responsible for. However, because they're inside of me, I can then step up to the plate and take responsibility and move through it.
Thank
But
you.
if I just, if something's triggered in me and I just say, well, I'm responsible for it, that can lead into another power person dynamic of self-blame and, and a whole other dynamic. But so just recognizing that a lot of that crappy stuff, you're not responsible for.
Yeah.
You
Thank you
came
so
by it
much.
honestly, and
That's right.
and we can step into it, take responsibility, and unload it. Be finished with it.
Thank you. And I realize
right.
as you're speaking with, for example, sadness may be up, or, hostility may be up, but exactly right. It may not be mine, but I get to be the ancestor that allows its liberation and transmutation.
Yes.
But not
Yeah.
attaching to it and take identity with it is what I'm hearing. So thank you that
Rock my breath
that.
into it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thanks, Michael.
All right.
How do you spell Rockma?
Rakma, Rakhma. And Rakma is the word in Aramaic that Yeshua used when they asked him the question, what's most important in the law? And the Greeks totally misinterpreted and say you're supposed to love God, love your neighbor, and love yourself. The word he used there was the word Rakma. And that word in Aramaic, there's no such idea, no such concept, certainly no such word in English or Latin or Greek or any of the languages between us and the Aramaic. So in the Aramaic, Rakma represents a filter in the frontal lobes of the brain that allow only intentions keyed to love to be used by the mind in determining what our goals are as raw material of goals. So it's a filter. It's one of 3 different filters, and only one filter can be active at a time. And it allows only data in the frontal lobes of the brain where intentions are stored, data that's keyed to love, to come forward into awareness. The other 2 filters are hostility and fear. So if hostility is active, then the hostility filter blocks intentions keyed to love. and now we have destructive intentions coming forward. Fear filter can be active. When fear is active, then negative intentions come forward, and love is blocked. When Rockman is active, and he says, you listen to his answer, and they say, well, what's most important in the law? He says, have Rockman for the creator, for neighbor, and by so doing, you maintain self. He's saying this is the key to maintaining your human life, which is love. We use the word love in the culture to represent something I'm going to get from you, give to you, you're going to give to me, I'm going to do to you, you're going to do to me. It's all a fraud, it's all a lie. Love is a word that represents your created essence. It's what you are. It's what each of us is. We can't get it from somebody else. Most people, when they talk about I love you, what they really mean is you're fulfilling all my goals, so I approve of you. But by God, if you stop fulfilling my goals, watch how fast my love will turn to hate. It isn't love at all.
Right. Right.
So this is what he says is most important in the law. And then he follows that up and he says, for upon this hangs the law and all the prophets. This Rachma is key to maintaining your human life and human intelligence as you go through the world. So that's Rachma. And we've got lots of other information on it. If you go to the website, whyagain.org/Rachman, I think you'll find a page there that will give you more information too.
Okay, just a quick question. I know we're going over time. Okay, so as we're created in the frontal lobe of our brain, does it only love that is there until we are socially conditioned, with learning hostility and learning fear? Like, is that something that grows into the frontal lobe, or were we created with those already inside of us?
Well, my offering would be that our creation is singular. You are created love, period. That's it. A child can be conceived and go through many experiences even before they come out of the womb that condition them for hostility or fear.
Okay.
The idea of understanding Rachma is that if you've been conditioned to other energetic patterns, that you can utilize the tools to return to your normal state.
Which is love, it's
what we are. It's literally our created essence. And
right, and so therefore, fear and hostility are part of the social conditioning, whether it's in the womb or trauma when we're being when we are growing within the womb or when we come out. Correct.
Yeah. My take would be it's part of the social conditioning, and it's for virtually everybody. It's part of the genetics as well.
Okay. Yeah.
However, the tendency is, unless there's been a pretty rocky, pregnancy and early childhood, the tendency is for those things to come into play later in life. That as long as the infant's diaper's empty and their stomach's full, love is the condition. Brahma is the condition.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Both of my children, when I was growing them inside of me, I just created like a total peaceful environment, and they came out with so inherent wisdom. I didn't have to put plugs in the outlets, the electrical outlets. I would swipe my hand over it and look at them and say boundary. They instantly understood me, and they're crawling around. Like the wisdom that we have when we come in is profound.
Yes. Yep,
and
sure
so yeah, getting back to that point, that I feel oftentimes, as I'm whatever, the analogy, or what, I don't know the word that someone wants to create, shedding the layers of the onion, whatever, of what I have gone through, or you know, for me at this point, I prefer to use positive language, which is um, the as I am, as I am, capital I am, connected to Creator by choosing breath and breathing, the life source. Everything around me heals with me. And I, you know, I really am not, I really am focused, um, Michael, on not hashing out, giving voice, and giving a lot of energy to the past trauma that, you know, all of it coming through. I thought about writing it down, and I don't want to give it any more energy, Michael.
No.
You know what,
So
my intention is to just be fully present now, and that all of it is melting away.
that's what it takes to do your work. All right. Well, thank you everybody for
Okay.
joining us and holding the space. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bridget,
Much love.
I sent you an email with some links.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much, Jeanie
You're
and
welcome.
Michael. You're my extended family. You're my not even extended. You're my immediate soul family, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
All right. Blessings. Take care.